Belinda, welcome. You're currently the Executive General Manager of Community Cricket at Cricket Australia. Firstly, can you please explain what that involves?
My role is essentially about making sure that kids and people involved in community cricket have got what they need to have a great time, and make sure that community cricket is providing a great sort of social fabric for society. So what did I do last week? It was a heavy meeting week. I attended a Women and Girls Forum at the WACA, which was great, with about 100 volunteers at a forum. So I spoke to those guys with the staff at the WACA. And then we had a community cricket leadership team, which is all the state and territory heads from around the country. We had a meeting in Sydney for 2 days where we heard from the field force about how they're experiencing the season. And other than that, just trying to avoid meetings and not answer emails.
When you finished your playing career, you retired as Australia's greatest ever female cricketer. You're now at the top of your game as an administrator. Can you share a bit about your pathway from the end of your playing career to where you are now?
Well, I was always working whilst I was playing, so the transition out of playing and into work was reasonably seamless because I just stopped doing all the training and the playing part of it and kept doing everything else. So that period of time was really interesting because I got to see lots of different parts of the business, and then as soon as I finished playing, I came home from England, I got on a plane and I went up to Brisbane and I started as head of the Centre of Excellence in Brisbane 3 days after I finished my playing career.
So during your playing career, what experiences you take on or people did you reach out to so that by the time you retired, you're ready to step straight into a management role?
I had studied physiotherapy whilst I was playing and worked in that field for about 2 years. And so that gave me a pretty good grounding in understanding research methods around, obviously the human body, about skill acquisition. So there's a lot of things in those degrees that are actually around coaching and managing people. So that was probably that. And then the other thing I was lucky enough to do was a course at Harvard Business School, which brought me up to speed with all things like finance and business practices. So they were the two things that probably have formed the basis for me.
Did you have any mentors in particular during that period that helped you along the way?
I had lots of on-the-job mentors. So I worked with some amazing people, great managers that were flexible, allowing me time to play cricket and also work. A couple of mentors that come to mind, Christina Matthews was involved in cricket at that point, and I shared an office with her when I first moved from being a physio into sort of working in cricket administration. So that was really helpful because I sort of didn't know where to turn the computer on or how to do printing or anything like that. So she was very helpful. Quentin Bryce was the president of Women's Cricket Australia when I started as executive officer of that organisation in 2000. And she just showed me what's possible when you're clear on where you're trying to get to and you rally people around a cause. And I'm still in contact with her today and continue to learn from her.
So recently you finished up as Interim EGM of Team Performance to step back into the EGM role of Community Cricket. Why did you make the decision to return?
Well, it was an interim role, so it was always only going to be for a set period of time. So it was essentially an 8-month piece of work. I really enjoyed it, but my passion really is about providing opportunities for kids to be active, for kids to be playing, and that cricket's a great vehicle to develop all those skills that you need in life that don't necessarily come through other mechanisms. So I found that I could perform that purpose in team performance, but it was 1 or 2 steps removed from being able to influence kids and volunteers.
You were captain of the Australian cricket team for many, many years. When Meg Lanning, the current captain, or any other Australian player taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey BC, I need some help with leadership," what are the couple of things you share with them?
First, I generally ask them what's the problem they're facing or what are they actually dealing with, because so many different things can be coming at you. So it's really important to understand you can probably only deal with one thing at a time. So trying to sort of crystallise what it is that you're actually struggling with. And then more generally, just be inquisitive, ask questions, listen to people, make a decision, and then reflect on what that decision led to. So it's a pretty simple steps to go through, but they're all important. Otherwise, you can get caught in your own little bubble.
Looking back at your entire career now, what experience do you think set you up for success?
I learnt very young that if you want to do something, then you should do it, work at it, try hard, and be aware that you're not always going to get everything right. And I think that's a great lesson from sport, is that even when you're playing cricket as a batter, every day you get out, so every day you essentially fail at some point, whether you've scored 0 or 5 or 10 or 100, you're getting used to the fact that at some point you make an error and there's a consequence for that, and that means you go and sit on the sideline or you get the scoring book or something. So I think there's some fundamental things that I learnt growing up that I think have held me in good stead. And I've learned a lot from the people around me. So I've probably learnt a lot more from the people on the job training, watching other people work, than I have in formal education processes. So there's lots of things you can learn. You just got to open your eyes and watch what people are doing.
This is a bit of an extension to what you just said, but if you could go back and talk to your younger self and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
I would probably tell myself to not worry about the small stuff. I sort of took a while to learn that. And that if you believe in things, have a crack and everything will be okay. There's not too much I don't think I could fight my way out of.
You've been through a lot as a player and as an administrator. What's been the proudest moment of your career?
Undoubtedly, there's two. There's a cricket moment, which is winning a World Cup in India in '97 with a relatively young, inexperienced group of players. A lot of us hadn't been to India before, so that's a cricketing thing I'm very proud of. And then the sustained success we had from that, following that. And from a work perspective, probably the work we've done in junior formats to essentially change the way that the game is consumed by young kids in this country. I think it's a lot more enjoyable. We've proven that, and I'm really proud that we were able to not only do the research and implement it, but the fact that it's now being implemented across Australia.
And finally, if you could try anybody at Cricket Australia's job just for one day, whose would it be and why?
One of those guys that work in digital that film stuff and sit and fiddle with images and music to videos. I think working on a little Apple device for a couple of hours a day would be great, just creating a little clip, sending it out and seeing if people react to it. I think that'd be great.